Well, we've had 11 weeks of high school football across the natural state. How about that? I know they say there's 10 weeks, but when you have a week 0, then that means you have 11 weeks. So we've made it to the end of the regular season. That's kind of shocking when you think about it. I know a lot of teams have not been able to play the number of games they expected. A lot of postponements, a lot of cancellations, but here we are. We got high school playoffs starting on Friday, so let's talk about that with our friend Nate Olson, co-host, along with Rex Nelson on the Friday Football Scoreboard Show right here on this very station you're listening to, and hitthatline.com. Good afternoon, Nate. Congrats making it to the end of the regular season. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, that intro, that made me think at first, and Rex and I talked about this Friday night. At first, in July, we didn't think the season would start. Then when we got into it, we thought it may not make it all the way through. And there was a period of time where I was hearing some whispers there may not be a playoffs. And here we are. So fingers crossed that we're able to see some of these really great matchups, and we have championship games slated for 3 weeks in December, and fingers crossed that all those are played with the teams that are supposed to be there.
So let's recap a couple of the games that occurred over this last weekend at the end of the regular season. Fayetteville taking down Springdale Harbor. Now, Fayetteville finishes the regular season 4-5, but they were 4-1 in the 7A West, a second place finish.
Yeah, great run by them. Casey Dick deserves a lot of credit, the coach there. Things didn't look great after a tough non-conference slate and then COVID bout and some tough luck, but they turned it around. And I feel like we'll talk about this in a minute when I break the brackets down, that, I think they're one of the hottest teams right now. Obviously, Bryant's undefeated, so they're the hottest, but Fayetteville playing good football. So Caden Turner really keyed this win. He's a linebacker by trade, but they're playing him at running back because he asked them to. He said, I read a story, the game story, and he said, I told him, hey, how about let me carry the ball? So they did. He had 2 touchdowns and then also recorded a pick 6, and the defense came up big at the end of the ball game for Fayetteville, stopped a Harbor drive that would have been the go-ahead score with a sack and iced the game. So great performance by Caden Turner, the junior college prospect, showing his value on offense, and I would expect that to continue. If that's not broken, why fix it? So leave him at running back a little bit, and he plays linebacker. So great game by him and a big ball game. And then Greenwood shows why they're Greenwood, Phil, and SmackDown. They win these games. They've done it all the time. They're on the ropes at Lake Hamilton. Lake Hamilton has the lead, 21-10 in the third quarter. And then this game is in Percy, home game for Lake Hamilton. And Greenwood comes back in the fourth quarter. Hunter Wilkinson, who you remember I've talked about, was injured for a period of time. He comes back stronger than ever, ran for 188 yards, I think, in his debut. He runs for 61 yards for a touchdown in the fourth quarter to take a 31-28 lead, and Greenwood recovers 2 fumbles in the final 3 minutes to preserve the 38-28 win. It's a hard-fought win for them. It's a big-time win. It seals an undefeated conference championship, the number 1 seed, home field advantage in the playoffs. But that's vintage Greenwood, and that's what you'd expect from Rick Jones. But it's continued with Chris Young winning those games like that, a 61-yard run, 2 fumbles at the end. That's what Greenwood does. They've done it for years, and they do it again and are very, very hot going in the playoffs. I think they are probably, we'll talk about it in a minute, but the heavy favorite to win the whole thing.
Well, let's jump right into it here with Nate Olson here on Halftime. Nate, when you look at that 6A state playoff bracket, obviously Greenwood obviously the overwhelming number 1 favorite. Greenwood, they match up with West Memphis in round 1 of the playoffs, and they're in the same bracket, or the same 8 teams in that upper bracket, with Pine Bluff, Mountain Home. Jonesboro would be a good matchup. Benton's in there as well. But, Nate, I think Greenwood has as long as they keep their head on straight and they play the way they're supposed to play, Greenwood should have a pretty easy route towards the state finals.
I absolutely agree with you. I'm trying to think of a team that I feel like would beat them. The key is that, they're all home games. and they were, I believe I told you guys, I think 37 straight conference wins. The seniors have never lost the home game there, so that's huge. You look at Pine Bluff Mountain Home. Pine Bluff's playing a lot better, but I've told you earlier that Mountain Home and Van Buren, a couple of those lower seeded teams in the West, I feel like they're going to pull off wins. They could. I think this is a tough draw for Mountain Home because it's a long trip to Pine Bluff, which actually any trip anywhere to play is pretty long for Mountain Home, but that's a pretty long one to South Arkansas. I think Pine Bluff might be favored. I would not be surprised if Mountain Home pulls the upset. They're playing very, very well. It's been a historic season for them. Neither of those teams is going to give Greenwood a challenge at home, I don't believe. Jonesboro Van Buren is another game, guys. I feel good about Van Buren. It's a long trip, a real long trip. Jonesboro, not quite the team they have been. I feel like this is going to be a shootout. They've been a lot of shootouts Van Buren has. They've got a lot of firepower. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull the upset here. And then you've got Benton and Marion. I think Benton wins that. I probably would project a Benton-Greenwood semifinal, although I'm not totally sold on Benton. They're not playing great. But if they were to play Van Buren, I'd probably give them a nod. So that Van Buren-Jonesboro game is really big. And then you look at the bottom half. I love Lake Hamilton, their road. They would play Sheridan. They play Sheridan in the first round. The winner of El Dorado, Siloam. I think Siloam pulls the upset there maybe. Lake Hamilton, I think they're on the way to the championship. Parkview and Searcy, first round, would play the winner of Sylvan Hills. Not really sure what to expect from Sylvan Hills. A first-year coach. They run the ball a lot. They won the East. You've got to respect them. I think Parkview would beat them, and then you'd see Parkview and Lake Hamilton in the semifinals, real estate championship. They didn't play because of COVID in the regular season, so that's really interesting. I think I'd give Lake Hamilton the nod, though, with a little bit more of a tougher schedule. Then you're looking at Lake Hamilton, Greenwood for the title. I'd probably go Greenwood in another close game, guys.
I want to jump over to the 5A bracket, which, the 5A schools is kind of where it's where I grew up in. I was taught at BB High School, so I know a lot about these 5A schools. And Nate, the 5A bracket is loaded with talent this year, but I don't know if necessarily if I have an overwhelming favorite coming out of the 5A. I mean, obviously you got your favorites in PA, Little Rock Christian. Harrison has looked really good this year. Wynn has been outstanding this year. What about the 5A? Who do you see coming out of the 5A, maybe possibly getting to the semis and the state finals?
Well, I love Harrison. I think they have done a tremendous job. They lost Gabe Husky. He was a bell cow running back. Weren't really sure how they're going to do without him. They've had some injuries at quarterback, but they just keep moving along. They play good defense. They won close games. They're going to have home field advantage the whole way, looks like. Their side of the bracket is not tremendous. And you've got, them playing Camden Fairview in the first round should easily win that game. The winner of BB Camden Fairview. I'm sorry. I think Camden Fairview will win that, so that would be the first round for Harrison. That is a play-in game. So
now, be nice to my BB Badgers now, Nate. Come on, now be nice to my Badgers now.
Well, and I know the play-by-play voice there too very well. But I go Camden Fairview.
Oh, absolutely.
But Whitehall is a decent team. Come out in Hot Springs are decent teams. I think Harrison can beat both of them to get to the championship or even to the semifinals. The other teams there that are interesting, of course, Pulaski Academy, they're on a collision course with Wynn again, which Wynn doesn't really want to hear that. They've played them quite a bit before. Also, Little Rock Christian is in there. Which can make things interesting too. I think Harrison Pulaski Academy is what my thoughts would be at this point, and I think that would be a tremendous game. PA has had a good year. I mean, because of COVID, they've taken on all comers and they've won every game. They've won out of state games, beat Ravenwood up Nashville. So I think they're a favorite. I don't know if I'd call them a heavy favorite, although they are undefeated. So. But you're right. There's going to be some upsets. The Little Rock Christian game I was talking, they would play possibly Harrison in a quarterfinal round. That could be good. So that could be really interesting.
Nate, we had a text from Greg
Semifinal.
in Fort Smith. Greg in Fort Smith wanted to know about Fort Smith Southside, the Mavericks. They're playing against North Little Rock, so maybe that's all you need to know about the Mavericks right now, huh?
Well, yeah. I will say this. I think they have a great coach in Kim Dameron. I think the future is bright for them. It didn't happen this year, but Rome wasn't built in a day. So I think that the South Side, the best days are to come. It's not going to happen in North Little Rock. I can almost guarantee that. And I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just calling it the way I see it there. But North Little Rock, the road, I think is they're on a collision course with Bentonville. I think they beat Southside. Bentonville West beat Catholic. Now West is capable of pushing North Little Rock. They've been a little Jekyll and Hyde. I'm not sure. I think they were a little bit under expectations to me. And this is when you can erase that stuff, though. And this is the season right here. I think North Little Rock, though, playing at home wins that game. Then you've got Cabot playing Rogers. I think Rogers will give them a push. I think this will be a tight game. I like Rogers' offense. I think Cabot wins a shootout. They go to Bentonville, and Bentonville handles them pretty easily, which will show a lot about Bentonville because I think Cabot may be better than some of the teams they played in the West. I still think Bentonville handles them. Then you're looking at North Little Rock, Bentonville to go to the state title. That's a huge game if that happens for Bentonville. This will be the best team by far they've played. North Little Rock is athletic. They pushed Bryant for a half, which is saying something this year. And so that's that's where the rubber's going to meet the road. I mean, it has playing a weak non-conference schedule hurt you. Are you going to be able to overcome that and beat a quality team at home? I mean, you get to play them at home. So that'll be a big one for Bentonville. I think most people want to see Bentonville Bryant. I think I do. I would like to see two undefeated teams play for the title. Bryant's got a pretty easy road, and you could say that really with anybody they play. They've taken on everybody and disposed of them. So they've got Heritage. Heritage, some respect for them. They decided not to opt out. Southwest, the Little Rock is opting out. They're not going to play. Heritage had some struggles this year. They did snap their losing streak, but it's been tough sledding. They elected to come to Bryant. Bryant wins that game, plays the winner of Harbor Northside. I think you could probably flip a coin there. Harbor, I thought they were going to be a little bit better this year. Maybe Northside too. I'd probably go Harbor at home there, but I wouldn't be surprised if Northside wins. Fayetteville, we'll talk about them. Hot team. I think they beat Central. Conway beats Springdale relatively easy, and then Conway runs into a buzzsaw at Fayetteville. I think they win by 2 touchdowns to get to the semifinals. That's my upset special, guys. Fayetteville playing at Bryant to go to the state championship.
Well, it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully be able to get all through it. So for the next 6 weeks, we'll be talking high school playoffs with you, Nate. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Nate.
I look forward to it. Thank you. Yep.
You got it. Nate Olson, one and only. Listen to him here on ESPN 104.3 or ESPN 96.3 or ESPN 95.3 or ESPN 99.5, 10 o'clock till midnight. It's Rex and Nate with the High School Football Friday Scoreboard Show.